am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide Cole Johnson. And in this limited commercial edition of the program, we're going to touch on things MLB, things of the Olympic variety, things of the NFL, of course. And we always have the dolt of the week. We're going to go in on the subject and we're going to send an email. That's how we roll. But for right now, headlines, please. Next Summer Olympiad is officially 1 year away. Wow, time flies. And for those who don't know, the next Summer Olympiad will be in Paris. So the International Olympic Committee, President Thomas Bach, said he has views of the 2024 Paris Olympics being a beginning of a new era of Olympic and Paralympic Games. Now, unfortunately for organizers, though, some of the issues which have clouded the run-up to Paris have been all too familiar. Now, next July will be here before we know it, and it will begin with a majestic opening ceremony along the Seine River. The concerns ahead of these games are strikingly similar to those which surrounded its predecessors. Now, over the several months, there have been questions over security, ticketing procedures, and the budget. Also, a corruption probe, along with allegations of favoritism in how contracts were awarded, has been put forth. And the seemingly ever-present elephant in the room, Russia, whose athletes might still be able to compete as neutrals even in their country as they war with the Ukraine. Well, it looks like they have issues galore. Hopefully they can iron all of them out before next July gets here, but we shall see. Now, the Braves, they've been coasting, but last night they got thumped 7-1. But I'm not focusing on that. They performed what we haven't seen until now this year, as they turned in their only one highlight of the game, the first triple play of the season. Now, they were trailing 2-1 in the bottom of the third when Charlie Morton, the pitcher of the Braves, he gave up an infield single to Red Sox outfielder Masataka Yoshida, who advanced to second base following a fellow outfielder Adam Duvall error. Now, that's when the unthinkable happened. Now, the first baseman of the Red Sox, Tristan Casas, hit a pop fly to center field. It looked like it could drop for a single, but a charging Michael Harris II caught it. For the first out, he immediately threw to first base to double off Duvall, who was nearly to second base before turning back to tag up. That was the second out. And then Yoshida did tag up and tried to advance to third, but he was thrown out by first baseman Matt Olson to record the first triple play of 2023 in the MLB season. Well, just goes to show there could be a silver lining even in these regards, even if you get whooped by 6 runs. Now, going from the diamond to the, well, can't really say the court or the hardwood, but I have to say the boardroom. As earlier this week, the NBA owners, Board of Governors, approved the Michael Jordan sale of the Hornets. Now, it was approved. They voted to approve of the sale, I should say, to an ownership group led by Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall. Now, the person spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity back on Sunday because the sale won't become official until this weekend. Now, the decision ends Jordan's 13-year run as the majority owner of the Hornets. He will still remain on the Hornets as a minority owner. Now, he agreed to sell the team last month. However, when an NBA owner decides to first sell it, it must be approved by the league's board of governors before proceeding. His decision to sell the team leaves the NBA without, of course, a black majority owner. But don't cry a whole bunch of crocodile tears for Jordan. He stands to profit $3 billion. The man is going to be filling his pockets with money. Now, from the boardroom back to the gridiron, Pro Bowl cornerback Trevon Diggs of the Cowboys and Gerald or Jerry Jones, the owner of the team, they agreed to terms on a multi-year extension. Yes, a 5-year deal, actually. It is set to be worth $97 million, and the deal could be worth up to $104 million in incentives. Now, Diggs' agreement would be tied for fifth in average annual value among cornerbacks, putting him alongside Marshawn Lattimore of the Saints. Now, with Diggs leading the secondary last season, the Cowboys ranked eighth in NFL in pass defense, and he led the league with 33 takeaways. The cornerback, 6'2", saying he's 6'2", he has tallied in his NFL career thus far 17 picks and 49 pass breakups in 3 seasons. They selected him in the second round of the 2020 draft out of Alabama. Well, he is a talent. Hopefully he can learn how to not gamble so much, because if so, they may have no choice but to actually convert him to corner. To safety. But we shall see. Congratulations on getting your coin, Trevon. Hopefully you will have a prosperous future ahead as a Cowboy defender. Staying on the gridiron, going out west, the 49ers, they finished the season number 2 seed in the NFC, and unfortunately had some hard luck troubles in the NFC Championship game, being absolutely demolished by the Eagles in Philly. They came this year bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, except Nick Bosa, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, is not expected to be in training camp with them. Now, he awaits a contract extension, which once he does get one, it could set a new precedent for pass rushers. 49ers general manager John Lynch and the coach Kyle Shanahan said this past week they do not expect Bosa to work out during training camp until that deal is reached. Now, Lynch did express optimism about a deal, adding that he's been in communication with Bosa's agent throughout the negotiation process. Now, how much do you think it could be worth? Will you ask Cole? Well, he will say the following. His new deal could potentially range upward to maybe $30 million annually, with at least a $100 million guaranteed base. And we're talking about a guy who led the NFL last year with 18.5 sacks and 21 tackles for loss in 2021. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year as well in 2019 when the 49ers last made it to the Super Bowl. Now, he is set to still make $17.8 million this year if he were to play under the final year of his fifth option deal, rookie deal contract. Well, congratulations to him. And let's stay in the Bay Area, but let's go up a ways from Santa Clara to San Francisco, where the A's and the Giants are renewing their Bay Area rivalry. However, along with that, this funny chant was heard all throughout Oracle Park. Under normal circumstances, the opposing fan bases would be at each other's throats. And yes, there were some tense moments, of course, as the Giants pulled out a late 2-1 victory against the Athletics. However, these are anything but normal times and circumstances, especially for the A's, whose ownership group recently struck an agreement to build a new downtown stadium in Las Vegas and moving the team there. The A's fans have been extremely vocal in their displeasure and opposition, but they have found a new ally going 10 miles west to their arch rivals, to their area arch rivals, as a spontaneous sell the team chant broke out amongst the 40+ thousand in attendance. The Giants television announcers seemed to grasp the significance of the moment, remaining silent throughout an entire at-bat by the A's Cody Thomas so viewers could make out what the crowd was chanting. Now, the Giants would have the Bay Area all to themselves once the A's leave for Las Vegas, but judging from Tuesday night's display, their fans seem more than happy to keep this rivalry going for as long as possible and to have the A's there for as long as they would like to call the Bay Area home. And that concludes this week's headlines. We normally trace on to the VIP zone. We normally visit 104 times, and this is how it works. If you do have a wonderful comment, you can just put that comment there. And the best comment that you can come forth will be a chapter on the episode in which it was read. So comments from the VIP zone become chapters on Cole Sports episodes. So remember that. We love you, VIP. We value your comments. We value your opinions. We value your presence because we do this for you. Now, turning our attention back onto the gridiron, and I feel troubled in my spirit. And this is why. The NFL has a problem because players seem to want to gamble. And for whatever reason, however they get their hands on it, they seem to ignore whatever the shield or the team, or I should say, and they ignore what the powers that be say above them to not do. Well, if you want to know, I mean, enter, of course, the defensive end, Eyioma Uwazurike. He is the most recent, now I believe the 10th in this season to be suspended. And he bet on NFL games. Now, I will go a little bit further, but because of the head coach of the Broncos, Sean Payton, I feel compelled to send one of these.
Come on!
You've got to be joking me.
You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz! From the vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history. From the vault, brought to you by Cole Sportz.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up, you know what I'm saying?
It just had everything, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Discouragement, sorrow, distance. Your arguments cause damage to your family. The hurt leads to divorce. You feel like there is nowhere else to turn. But there is hope for you. That's where we come into play. There is an overcomer that lives inside of you. One ready to take on the world as you leap for joy, living in victory. You'll grow to love yourself and others. There's life after divorce, and you can claim it today. Get Over Divorce, where your new story begins here every Thursday on YouTube and Spreaker. Cole Sportz. Cole Johnson here. Let's go back to the VIP zone where we did have some technical difficulties. Thank you, Derpy Entertainment. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ryan McCarthy of No Credentials Required fame. Thank you for the owner, manipulator, the operator of the BS3 Network, Ben Sullard. I appreciate that. Thank you. And now, Ryan again. He says, good afternoon. It is time for Cole Sportz with a Z. With apologies to West Indies. Derpy Entertainment, he says, Cole, I just want to say it boggles my mind. NFL analysts don't consider reputation and season outcomes with organization history. And it may not repeat itself, but the outcomes do matter and coaching does too. Exactly. It does. How could it not? How could it not have an impact? You know, and that to me is just like, it boggles my mind too. Valdez BTW, what's up, man? I'm glad that you're here. Glad you're aboard the fam. And I appreciate the love as always. As you can see, this show air every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network. And of course, that's the man who runs it all. Appreciate you, brother. And we will visit these wonderful people 2 more times through the rest of the show. Now, remember, a good witty comment or a good strong comment or a good comment that makes you think, it becomes a chapter in this episode. Now, here's another chapter of this episode, the Adult of the Week. Adult of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's Adult of the Week is Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison. Now, why did he land on this list? Gosh, I almost can't believe I'm about to actually say the following things that I'm about to utter. So, apparently, Mr. Addison felt the need to attend to a pet of his. And he needed to get that pet to a veterinarian as fast as humanly possible. And so, this past week, a photo was shown of him posing with a small brown dog, although it's uncertain that the animal was referred into the case I'm about to utter. Because this man is Adult of the Week because in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, he was clocked going 140 miles per hour. Goodness gracious. 140 and a 55.
What?
140 and a 55.
What?
Said 140 and a 55.
What?
The man went 140 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Now, the Ramsey County District Court Monday said the first-round draft pick is facing charges of speeding and reckless driving. I would hope so. The police report also says that Addison stated that his dog was having an emergency at his residence, and it was the reason for the speed. This past week, he was pulled over for driving said 140 miles an hour in said 55-mile-an-hour zone. And he was driving in his Lamborghini Urus on an interstate in the St. Paul area. The former USC standout on Friday, he released a public statement acknowledging that he, oh my goodness, quote, made a mistake and used poor judgment. Close quote. son. So the wide receiver who was selected 23 overall in this past April's draft was supposed to, and he probably still will, join Offensive Player of the Year Justin Jefferson in the wide receiver core. But when they drafted you, Mr. Addison, the speed they wanted you to have was something that you could produce with your 2 feet and legs on the field, not something with your lead foot in your sports car. Why were you driving almost 3 times the speed limit? You realize how damaging it could have been, and thank the Lord. And I'm not saying this euphemistically. I am literally and meaning this. Thank the good Lord nobody was injured, harmed, or damaged. I'm glad there wasn't an accident. I'm glad no one was hurt. I'm glad no one was hit. And I'm glad you are fine, Mr. Addison. But you got to think better. You got to make better judgment. You have to do things that don't incur those who are in charge of your life, which right now happens to be the Minnesota Vikings, to think that you cannot make decisions that are conducive to your overall health and well-being. Now, I commend you for being a responsible pet owner. I commend you for making sure that your pet was not going to be damaged or hurt. I commend you for wanting to take care of something that is in your care. I do not commend you, Mr. Addison, for having a lead foot. Look, I get that sometimes certain circumstances would require certain measures. I do get that. But if it was going to be that dangerous, or if it was going to be that dire, heck, ask if you can get a police escort. Ask if you can get something of that nature to where, yeah, you probably would be speeding, but you would do so under the safety of a police escort. And if they say no, so be it. You can't speed that fast. I don't think you speed that fast, period. But that's besides the point. Hopefully, Mr. Addison, you learn your lesson that you cannot just simply take matters in your own hands and risk your life and the lives of others by lead footing things. Be glad no one got injured. Be glad you didn't get injured. And be glad the only thing that you did suffer is some embarrassment, a slap on the wrist, and some time in jail with the fine that you're about to incur. I'm glad that is all you suffered, because it could have been a lot worse, man. You're a young man. You're just getting your feet wet in the world. What I think you're going to have to understand is that when you make these decisions, consequences follow. And when you do make that decision, you're going to have to live up to the consequences that befall you. And that consequence might be community service. That consequence might be a fine. That consequence might be that you do PSAs about not speeding in the Twin Cities area. But goodness sake, man, take care of the people around you. Please don't ever speed like that again, which I'm thinking you might. You have a Lamborghini. You probably want to go out and just test it on the road, but don't risk human lives. And most importantly, don't risk yours. Please don't ever do that again, because you're going to scare people. The least of which, the Vikings organization, and also the least of which, organizations that aren't the Vikings, meaning the other 31 franchises who might see your talent, but say, oh, he's a little reckless when he gets away from the field. Let's hope that's not the case with you, sir. Hopefully you learn your lesson and you go about your business. Now, in this limited commercial edition, we're going to go on to, how can I put this? The quarterback market was set. It was, I think, set with Lamar Jackson. Then it was topped just slightly by Jalen Hurts. And now we have somebody else who has topped them both. And it is juxtaposed to another market that seems to be in flux and stale. What do I mean? We are now about to go in. Congratulations to Justin Herbert. It looks like for the foreseeable future, he is going to be a Los Angeles resident. That actually should be San Diego, but I digress. I'm not going to get on the soapbox. Now, he is at present the highest paid player in the National Football League. Now, the Chargers and Herbert agreed to a 5-year, $262.5 million extension, which will keep the franchise quarterback in LA through till January 2030. Now, a person close to the situation informed USA Today and spoke on a condition of anonymity because they really aren't authorized to discuss the deal publicly. Now, Herbert's long-term extension was inevitable after the Chargers exercised his 5th-year option earlier in the year. His new contract is the largest ever in Chargers franchise history as well, and his deal makes him the highest-paid quarterback in the history of the NFL, based on an average annual value of over $52 million. Herbert now joins Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, as I mentioned them before we started go in, as QBs who have reset the QB market this offseason. Now, Jackson's deal was a 5-year extension with the Ravens worth $260 million. He signed that on April 27th. Hurts, April 17th or therein, he and the Eagles agreed on the 5-year, $255 million deal. Now, Herbert has rewritten the NFL record books since the Chargers drafted him in the 2020 NFL draft, 6th overall out of Oregon. Now, in the 3 seasons that he has played for the Chargers, he's produced over 14,000 yards, almost thrown 400 touchdowns with only 35 picks, resulting in a 96.2 career passer rating. He holds the QB record for most completions and yards and touchdowns by any player in his first 3 seasons, and he's the only quarterback in league history to begin his career with not 1, not 2, but 3 straight 4,000+ yard seasons. Now, why did Herbert get signed to this record deal? Well, I mentioned the single season marks that he the first 3 years of being stellar. I've mentioned that he is 6'6". Well, I haven't mentioned it, but he is 6'6". He has a cannon arm. He has a presence about him that is far beyond his years. He's extremely mature for only 25, and he seems to be a leader already that the team has taken a hold and will be willing to fight for him and do things for him, whether you play on offense or defense. Those are huge things for any quarterback, and he possesses that in spades. Now, we pretty much knew this was coming because we looked at the new crop of QBs. So you had Jackson, Hurts, Herbert. Allen already signed his extension a couple of years ago, and Mahomes already said his. And even though his deal in terms of the finite numbers are less, Mahomes' contract is still better because with incentives that more than likely he will hit all of them. He can stand to make in the 10-year deal that he signed over $500 million. So let's be real. Mahomes still is the man, but these numbers sound pretty good for a shorter amount of time. But you have, I mentioned, Mahomes and Allen already have their deal signed. They're locked in. This year, you had coming into the year, you had Jackson out of deal. You had Hurts, who he was okay. He could have played another year before the Eagles decided to talk extension, but they decided to get that out the way. He has a deal now. Herbert was due to get his deal because, like I just mentioned, he was on the last portion of his rookie deal. And oh, by the way, there still is this QB in Cincinnati by the name of, oh yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, he's done nothing but bring his Bengals to 2 AFC North championships, 2 AFC championship appearances, and 1 Super Bowl appearance. You know that the Bengals are looking at this and they're saying, oh my God, we're going to have to roll the Brinks truck out for Joe. We know that this is the guy for us that's going to lead us to a championship. We know that even before he even reached his prime, he has given us great ability to do what we want to do. But good Lord, these quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money. And we're going to have to come off of some change in order to get him staying in Cincinnati. So now they are on the clock to come up with a number to keep Joe Burrow in Cincy. Now, what makes this sad is that this is juxtaposed to the running back rooms in the NFL, where the QBs are getting a whole lot of money, but running backs, not so much. In fact, after they get past their rookie deal, the NFL teams are getting more and more reticent, and more gun shy. And I did mention this last week about signing them to long-term deals. All you have to do is look at Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott for proof as to why teams now want to say, yeah, you passed your rookie deal. It's not that we don't think you're worthy of this deal. It's that we don't think you could physically outlast it. And they might have a point. I'm not saying that they are all the way right, but somehow, some way, the only way it will change is you got to have a running back who is willing to be that Haas, you know, the Walter Payton, the LaDainian Tomlinson, the Marshall Faulk, the Emmitt Smith, the Barry Sanders, those guys who they would play year after year. They would get 300 or more carries. They would give you at least 1,200 yards or greater. And you can almost pin that in unless they have a big time injury. Adrian Peterson is probably the last example of that Haas running back where you put him in the backfield, you can put in the bank, he'll give you at least 1,200 yards this season, if not to 1,003, if not 1,004, if not 1,005. You need to have that type of back in order to change the market. Otherwise, now you have teams who want to have 2 and 3 backs at a time, and they'll split 35 carries between the 2 or 3. But as far as quarterbacks are concerned, since there's more emphasis on throwing the rock, since there's more emphasis on protecting the quarterback, and since there's more emphasis on the quarterback influencing the game, not just with his head or his arm, but with his legs too, you now are seeing NFL teams saying, okay, this is the position that if you have the franchise QB, you are one step closer to getting that Vince Lombardi trophy. And monetarily, we're going to put our support behind it. That's what these NFL owners are saying. And that's what they have said recently to one Mr. Jackson, one Mr. Hurts, and one Mr. Herbert. And they're going to continue to keep saying it because the game is centered around them. For right or wrong, for good or bad, that just is how it goes. But it's like what my father taught me. Don't get in a man's pocket. Don't hate, congratulate. So to you, Mr. Justin Herbert, congratulations on securing your future and congratulations on being on the road to becoming wealthy, because you, sir, did earn it. And I did say this to a couple of my friends in talking about you. You are the closest thing to Dan Marino that I have seen since he retired 24 years ago. And am I saying that he has the quick release like Marino? No. But what I'm saying is, out of very weird positions, Herbert can just whiz the ball, just like Marino. Marino had a lot of oomph in his throws. Herbert has a cannon. And so it's great to see a quarterback have a cannon and do his thing. And we get a chance, hopefully you stay healthy. You gets a chance to do his thing with the Chargers for another 6 years. And, well, I'm sorry, another 7 years. And a word of advice, Mr. Herbert. Politic, lobby, and pitch to the Chargers brass to get you a running game. It is a shame and it is a crime for you to throw the ball 40, 45, 50 times a game and expect wins and expect playoff appearances, because you're going to have defenses key in on you. And you felt a little taste of this last year, and they might give you a little bit of a remember me shot. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as a cautionary thing. Chargers brass, you got to do better to surround him with more talent. Yes, I know you got Keenan Allen. You got Mike Williams. You have talent in the passing game. Duly noted. Talking about the running game. And I'm talking about with the guys up front. The guys up front got them better. They need to get better still. And you need to have a running game. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck having a talent like him go nowhere and go nowhere fast. But once again, congratulations, Justin. I hope you enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now, before we part, let's visit the VIP zone one last time, shall we? And Miss Mocha, one of my sisters in this game, Cole Sportz, as she says always, whenever we talk. It is a pleasure to see you. I'm glad that you're doing well. I hope things are going great. And before I see you, happy early birthday to you. I know your birthday's in August, so I just want to get that out of the way before I forget. And Mr. Ryan McCarthy, who is in my head when he says the following: good for Justin Herbert. It is just too bad he's stuck with Brandon Staley as his head coach. And if I were to start thinking about Brandon Staley, I will probably take another hour in just simply undressing that young head coach. So I will not do that. I will end my soapbox before it starts. Thank you guys. You all are so great. And I appreciate everything that you all do, all in the VIP zone. Now, if you feel led to donate to this program, all you have to do is go to cash.app/$ host Cole Johnson. That's cash.app/$ host Cole Johnson. And that is all the time I have in the limited commercial edition of this program. I thank you in the VIP zone. I thank you at YouTube land. I thank you in the podcasting sphere for giving breath to the intelligent sports fan, man or woman. For all of us here at Cole Sportz, I'm Cole Johnson, and this is tuning into Cole Sportz. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sportz with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sportz VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.